So these are radical changes, and the purpose of this was not to give you a history lesson on Lenovo, but it was to show you how a company like Lenovo can really change more rapidly, and I think is becoming much more of a poster child for this notion of this next generation global enterprise, and how we believe that's going to help us succeed. Now, coming back to the branding and coming back to the challenge, Lenovo saw as a key challenge that we had to transform into a global brand. And that's why I was brought into the company 18 months ago. My background is in building global brands in the technology space. And the way we looked at it was very simple. We said, first of all, let's come up with a specific focus of what our marketing philosophy is, some of the principles of marketing. And these are very basic elements. We had to balance our short-term demand generation approach with the longer-term requirements of building the brand. The second is simplification. Lenovo is a technology company. It's a company of engineers. Engineers love complexity. Engineers thrive in complexity. Great brands are very simple. The value proposition that they bring to the users is simple. The product names are simple. The product ranges are simple. So we're trying to simplify what Lenovo has. And the third one is we look at everything that we do in marketing as has to have an impact. It has to stand out. There is no point in doing marketing if people don't see it. So looking at having a wow factor in every single thing that we do, whether it's a TV ad, but even if it's our business card, even if it's a PowerPoint presentation, we look at the wow factor, at how we're going to make the thing really stand out. So we took those principles, we created a brief of where we wanted Lenovo to be. We took that out to advertising agencies around the world. We had a worldwide competition. We had 8 agencies actually compete for the business, and to compete to come up with an overall creative theme that would tie together everything that Lenovo did. The winners of that was a consortium pulled together by publicists worldwide and led by Saatchi out of New York. And they came up with this theme of for those who do. And rather than try and explain it to you, what I'll do is show you a 60-second video that we ran as a TV commercial. It's called the Anthem video, and it just describes the concept, and it's how we presented it to the market in the beginning.
The world won't move forward by itself. It needs a push, a shove, a hard shoulder to the ribs, and it needs people with the drive and imagination to do it. People who refuse to sit around and wait for the next great evolution. The people who do. The ones who tinker, who build, who create. And we make the machines that help them. Do machines. Superpowered creation engines perfectly optimized to help the people who do more, do better, do what's never been done. We're not just about what we make. We're for the inspired thinkers who roll up their sleeves and make things happen. Lenovo, for those who do.
Yeah, Intel gets the logo because they pay for 60% of the ads. The reason we like the theme is because, first of all, it's very authentic. That's what Lenovo is all about. Lenovo is a company of obsessed, sort of hyperactive doers, always creating stuff. That's our nightmare. In fact, we have far too many products because of that. We also liked it because it differentiates us in the marketplace. When you look at computer advertising today, most of it is actually dictated by the style of Apple. You show the computer as this perfect object, your white background so that you can see it perfectly, computer enhancement of some of the key features, so it looks absolutely great. We did the opposite. Our engineers were horrified. We actually sprinkled dust over the computers, put duct tape on them. The idea was we were not showing the computer as an object. We're not even showing the user. You don't even see the user. What we're showing is what people are doing with it. In this case, it was a kid who actually crossed the desert in South America, with his ThinkPad strapped to his motorbike. We don't recommend that, incidentally, as a use of a computer. But we said that's a great thing. That's how somebody is using it. We celebrate what people are doing with it. And that's the whole spirit of the campaign, and that's also the aesthetic of the campaign. We do it around the world. You'll see it in Mumbai. You'll see it in Moscow. In Moscow, we happen to have the longest billboard in the world. It's 400 meters long. It's actually a construction site at the base of the Kremlin, and they had that space. It was 400 meters long by 20 meters high, so we took that. In Mexico, the Mexican team decided to actually come up with a competition for doers. It became very big. It was picked up. It ran on TV. It's a different version of Spanish. Los Doers, I don't think, is traditional Spanish. But, in Germany, we had a DJ. The one there with the skateboarder, that actually came from our Facebook page. One of our users who was very excited about the thing showed us how he uses his tablet. He straps it to the bottom of his skateboard so that he can video his fans as he's jumping, and then he puts it out on his blog. We don't recommend that either, incidentally. I should point out for all the lawyers in the audience, there's a little asterisk that says we don't recommend that you do that. And here are some other images, a store-in-store that we have in Harrods in London. Japan. In Japan, we needed a brand ambassador. We had Nakata-san, who's a living legend in Japan, who actually became our brand ambassador to do it. We had a vertical fashion walk at the IFA Consumer Show in Germany, and so on and so on. So you can see the implementation of the campaign is around the world. And the reason for showing you that is not to go through our advertising, but rather to show how Lenovo as a company is facing up to that challenge of transforming itself and building a global brand. Because we do see that as essential. We see that the world is changing. It's indisputable. There is a significant shift, and that shift is just going to continue to accelerate. And the markets will be defined by this next generation of customers, the net generation. And we believe that the companies that are the most likely to really succeed in that over time are going to be the global next generation enterprises that really are structured to take advantage of that. Now, some people see this as a great opportunity. Some see it as a devastating threat to their businesses. But it's a reality, and I think the onus as business people is on us to rethink how our companies work, to rethink how we can leverage diversity, how we can align with the values, with the styles, with the expectations of the net generation. And I think all of you, actually, as the next generation of global business leaders, are actually much better positioned to think this way and to take advantage of this shift to basically build a different type of company. I think you can build companies that are stronger than the companies that we have today simply because they do reflect more the values of this generation in terms of looking at the environmental issues, looking at the social issues, and building a business that is more sustainable over time and is going to be even more successful as the world changes. And just as a closing thing, I'd like to show one video. And this is it's a new version of the Lenovo corporate video. And corporate videos are always excruciatingly boring, and ours was no different. Goes through the history of the company, and it has some tacky little music and some interviews and the usual stuff. We wanted to look at how could we present the company in a way that made more sense for the audience that we're addressing, for the message that we want to tell, and for the attitude that we want to project for the company itself. So I'll run the new version of the corporate video. Sorry, go back one.
I know you're fed up, life don't let up for us. All they talk about is what is going down and what's been messed up for us. When I look around, I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. Listen to the sound and lose it in sweet music and dance with me, 'cause there is beauty
that's the benefit of working in marketing, that we get paid to do things like that. So thank you very much. Do I take questions now?
Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us on marketing in today's global markets. So one of the questions we have is, as emerging markets become one of the major growth drivers in the industry, could you discuss your differences in approach between marketing in the emerging markets and the developing market?
Yeah, we don't look at it that way. So our focus really is on the audience, and when we look at the consumer audience around the world, again, we're very narrow in terms of where we want to build the brand, which is the youth market. The youth market is actually very, very consistent around the world. So we're looking at programs. One that we just launched, for example, was with Google. It's called Space Lab. And it's for high school students to come up with an experiment that is going to be performed in the International Space Station. It runs in 86 countries around the world. It's totally the same everywhere. That audience tends to be very consistent around the world. So we really focus on the similarities rather than the differences. We localize in each country, so we try and find a way to tell our story that is culturally relevant, but that really is the implementation. But the basic thrust of the campaign is identical everywhere. And again, that's a difference than even, in my experience, even 10 years ago, you used to focus much more on the differences now. And everybody used to tell us, oh, why France is different, China is different, Japan is different. There's less and less of that these days.
Great. Thank you. Just one more question. Can you talk about the industry's move towards software and Lenovo's diversification into mobile devices?
Technology, and technology that people use today is becoming so powerful. It's so good that you use the technology to actually make it understand where you are, what you're doing, who you are, which then enables you to do so many more things. So I think over time we're going to see much more focus on the user interface. We've moved from keyboards to touch to voice. We're going to see machine recognition. We're going to see all the things that they do in this building, actually. The Media Lab is one of the real innovators in that space. All of that is a mixture of hardware and software. It's become almost impossible to define the boundaries anymore. And so as technology companies, we don't really look at that anymore. We used to define ourselves as hardware companies, as software companies, as cloud service companies. It really becomes irrelevant. When we look at bringing a solution to our markets, it's always some combination of hardware or software and now a cloud service that goes with it. So we're all on, because Lenovo comes from the hardware side, we've had to build a lot of that software expertise and the cloud expertise, but we differentiate less and less between these things.
Thank you again, Mr. Roman.
Thank you.